welcome to Newton Gate, where we make your dreams come true. This is a concept clearing video on a very important chapter of class 11 chemistry, that is chemical bonding. This chapter we mainly read about the covalent and the ionic interactions. Okay, so here in this video, in this concept clearing class, we will be discussing and focusing about the non-covalent interactions, mainly the van der Waals interactions. So what are the van der Waals interactions? So there are a few points about the van der Waals interactions, that these are the non-covalent associations. This is the first point that you know about it, and it happens between neutral molecules. See this diagram, these two molecules are neutral and they're the same molecules. If this is H2, this one is also H2. If this is Cl2, this one is also Cl2. And as you know, these are the covalent molecules. They are bound by covalent radius, right? These two molecules. And between these two neutral molecules, there is van der Waals interaction taking place. Okay, so what is the van der Waals radius? It is the half the internucleus distance between two non-bonded atoms. Okay, so see, these two are non-bonded and there is the radius here. This is the van der Waals radius. This is the half the, can you see that in the diagram? It is the half the internuclear distance of two non-bonded atoms of the same element in the closest possible distance. Now, what is this closest possible distance? Okay, so this is the van der Waals distance. This distance is the closest possible distance. It is the distance of closest approach between two non-bonded atoms. Now you will think, so what is this closest approach? What is this closest possible distance? Now students, imagine that you have two non-bonding particles, okay, which are at infinite distance. Okay, if they are at infinite distance apart, the possibility of them coming together and interacting would be what? Would be minimal, right? If two, suppose, just imagine that you have two non-bonding particles, two particles which are at infinite distance apart. So what will be the possibility of them coming together? That will be minimal, right? And so the possibility of coming them together and interacting decreases as the separation between them increases, right? As the distance of separation decreases, the probability of their interaction also increases. Okay, so if you now keep them closer, okay, if the distance of separation becomes lesser and lesser, so their possibility of interaction will also be increasing, isn't it? So their probability of interaction will increase as the distance between them decreases, right? So what happens at this distance of closest approach, as you bringing the atoms together, like closer and closer, there is a point at which all the kinetic energy of the particles will be converted to the potential energy, and eventually that particle will come to rest, right? When all the kinetic energy is converted to potential energy. Okay, at this distance of closest approach is that distance where all the kinetic energy of the particle converts to potential energy. Okay, so this is the distance. This is the closest possible distance, okay, at which these two atoms can be present and be interacting, right? See, here is a molecule of water, H2O, and you can see that the van der Waals envelope, the van der Waals radius of oxygen, the van der Waals radius of hydrogen, okay, and also here OH covalent bond distance is also shown here. What is important here to note is the van der Waals envelope. What is this van der Waals envelope? It is the surface. This is the van der Waals surface. It represents the surface through which the molecule might be interacting with other molecules. Okay? At this envelope, this molecule, this water molecule, might be interacting with other molecules. Okay? So what are the different types of bond that you know? Covalent and non-covalent, right? Under non-covalent, you have ionic and van der Waals forces. Okay? In the van der Waals forces, you have hydrogen bond, you also have dipole-dipole interactions, you have London dispersion forces. You can see the example of covalent bonds like OH bond, CC bond, CH bond. They all have covalent bond type, right? And see the bond strength. See the corresponding bond strength. Okay? So what will the bond strength show you? What will the bond strength show you? It will give an idea. It is the amount of energy that is required to break the bond, right? Okay? So more the energy required, that means that stronger is the bond. Okay? If you need more energy to break the bond, that means the bond is stronger. So here OH bond, it is much more stronger than other bonds, right? See, the non-covalent interactions are, in comparison, are not that strong, isn't it? These are the weaker interactions. See, London dispersion forces are very weak. Okay, the bond strength here is 0.3, and in the covalent type, covalent bond type, here you have 460 kilojoule per mole. You need this much energy to break the bond. So that means the bond is very much strong, isn't it? Okay, what are the ionic interactions? These interactions arise from electrostatic force of attraction between two oppositely charged species, right? Like Na plus Cl minus. Sodium is positively charged, chloride ion is negatively charged. So they have electrostatic force of attraction between them, which is very strong. Okay, so a salt in solid state will not be able to conduct electricity. They do not have free Na plus or Cl minus ions. Okay, so in order to conduct electricity, you have to make a solution of it. You have to dissolve the salt in water. Okay, when you dissolve the salt in water, what happens? Each of the individual ions become surrounded by water molecules, and when they get surrounded by water molecules, the oppositely charged ions will not be able to approach one another. Okay, so they will not form the bond, electrostatic bond or ionic bond again. Okay, so that's how you will have the free ions available to conduct electricity. See, this is what happens. Here you can see this is sodium ion and chloride ion, right? See that the water molecules have surrounded the individual ions completely, and that's why they will not be able to approach one another. Na plus and Cl minus, they are not able to approach one another, and they are now free because the water molecules have surrounded them. Okay, so so see, you can observe that Na plus and O minus. Okay, so they have formed a dipole here. Okay, they have formed a dipole within the molecule. Okay, so these are polar molecules. Okay, so what is happening here? So what is happening is that water, you know, is a polar solvent. Why it is polar? Because oxygen is highly electronegative, so oxygen has a partial negative charge always, and hydrogen have partial positive charge. So sodium has a positive charge, so it will attract the opposite charged oxygen, okay, and it will create a dipole here, okay. It will create a dipole. So an ion immersed in a polar solvent like water attracts the oppositely charged ends of the solvent dipoles, okay. It will attract the oppositely charged, like Na plus will attract the O negative part, right, and Cl minus will attract the positive part of the dipole, right. That is how they will be oriented, and when they get oriented in this way, this is called solvation of ions, okay. So what does this mean? This means that the ions are now surrounded by the solvent molecules, okay. So this is solvation of ions. If the solvent is water, you call hydration, okay, hydrated ions. But generally the term is for its solvation, but if the solvent is water, then you call it hydration, okay, hydration of ions, hydrated ions, you can call that. Thank you Newton Gate Champs for watching this video. Like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. For more details, visit our website www.newtongate.in or call directly on the displayed number. Thank you.